It's time now for French Connections, our weekly look at the intricacies of life here in France with our very own Florence Villeneuve. Hi, Flo. Now, we have already talked about wine on French Connections. We've talked about bread. It's time now to talk about that other quintessential French food, cheese.
That's right. Now, France, of course, is famous for its quality and variety of cheeses. And many of you had questions like DLV about just how many cheeses there are in France. Now, back in the day, former President Charles de Gaulle famously said, how can you govern a country which has 246 variety of cheeses? Well, the truth of the matter is, there's a lot more than that. In fact, estimates put the number of distinct variety of cheeses as high as 400. That means you could eat a different cheese each day of the year and you still wouldn't have tasted them all.
It's incredible. And like many things here in France, every region has its own specialty.
Jeannie, it's a great way to discover the country. Let's take a look at a cheese map of France. Bear in mind, these are only some of the cheeses, but it gives you an idea of the variety. And you've got something for everyone. You've got moist cheeses, hard cheeses, cheese made from cow's milk, cheese made from goat's milk, cheese made from sheep's milk, so many cheeses. And as for the best cheeses, well, they're protected by a system called the appellation d'origine contrôlée. I've already told you about this system. It exists for wine, too. It's a set of rules, a trademark as to how you make certain cheeses, and it protects cheeses like Camembert.
Now, cheeses are very serious business here in France, and the French are the biggest cheese consumers in the world.
That's right. French people on average eat a whopping 25.9 kilos of cheese a year. That's the equivalent of half a kilo a week or 70 grams a day. That's a lot of cheese. In fact, 50% of French people eat cheese on a daily basis, and there's this great French proverb that says that a meal without cheese is like a pretty girl missing an eye, which is a really weird proverb, but it's definitely a source of national pride.
I don't know why it's so good. It's in our genes.
I only buy French products, and I'm ready to pay the price if it's expensive. I'd rather eat less, but higher quality.
I'm 85 years old. I've always eaten cheese like my parents. I think that's France.
Wow, 85 years old. It sounds like cheese can be good for you, too. Flo, French cheese has such a great reputation, a reputation of being some of the best in the world, and maybe that's because it's truly made with love.
That's right. Now, a lot of cheese is made in factories, but the best French cheese is, of course, handmade artisanal cheese, and a lot of love goes into making this cheese. And in fact, what's interesting is they use the same techniques and recipes that they've been using for generations.
We do the same gestures they did back in the day, by hand, without any machines. It's a great job. You end up with a great product.
It's physically demanding. You have to work it. But I love it. I love being in contact with the milk every day.
It's a hard profession, and fewer people are ready to work 15 hours a day. That's why a lot of cheeses disappear.
It's so great to see all the passion the French have and French cheesemakers have for their cheese. But in order for cheese to be truly delicious, it actually has to be aged a certain way.
That's right, and that's our word du jour, affinage, aging, or helping the cheese mature so it's more than good, it's excellent. And this magic often happens in the same damp cellars that have been used for years. It requires a real savoir-faire. Let's listen to some professionals.
Once you've started working in this profession, you begin to love the cheese. You've got to take care of the cheeses like they're your children.
We call this place the kindergarten. You really bond with the cheese. You know exactly what's going on inside each one.
Now, many of our viewers who are not from France, and I know this was my case when I first came to France as well, want to know about how French people eat cheese, the etiquette of cheese, if you like.
That's right. The world of French cheese can be a minefield of unspoken rules. Keith Klotzel, for instance, wanted to know, when do French people eat cheese? Well, French people eat cheese at the end of a meal, right before dessert, often with salad and, of course, with wine. Now, they never eat it with crackers. You use a bread and a little butter if you're really hardcore. Another viewer, Mike Erder, wanted to know more about the rind. Do you eat the cheese rind? Well, French people will really look down on you if you don't eat the rind of a soft cheese like Camembert. It's a little different for hard cheeses. You'll get definite respect points if you eat it. But do keep in mind that the rind is often where the most flavor is, and that mold is friendly mold.
And one of the most mind-boggling things, for me at least I know, was how to cut each individual cheese.
It's tricky business. There's a right way and a wrong way. It all depends on the shape. And I found this little diagram to help you out. I also brought in a very small selection of cheeses to show you. So if it's a round cheese like a camembert, well, it's pretty easy. You just cut it into pie shapes. Now, you have the log-shaped chèvre, which is quite easy, actually. You just cut it into parallel bits, as the same for the comté, which you just cut parallel like that. And then you have cheeses with noses. And this is what's really complicated. So you have the Brie here and the Roquefort, and you have their nose. You should never chop the nose like that. That is bad manners because the nose is where the most flavor is. And so everybody needs to have a bit. So you cut it in diagonal bits like that so that everyone can have a little taste of the nose. And as for the smell, what about the smell? Well, you never say that a cheese stinks. You say that it smells very strongly. And a strong smelling cheese is a good quality cheese. And seeing how this, how it's smelling right now, I brought in some very good cheese.
I am so happy to taste them once we go off the air. Florence Villeminot, thank you so much for that look at how the cheese world works here in France. There are obviously so many more things we could talk about cheese. Don't hesitate to send in questions. I'm sure we could do a part two if you like on cheese here on French Connections. Be sure to tweet Flo Villeminot at Flo Villeminot if you have more questions. And that wraps it up for this French Connections. Florence, thank you so much, and we'll see you shortly.